Folks, it's time for our soft opening, which I've been encouraged to do a couple minutes early. We have an icebreaker question today, which you will discuss for a few minutes, getting to know those at your table, and then we'll have our formal opening in 5 minutes. But today's icebreaker question, in honor of the season, with Halloween approaching, the icebreaker question for the day is, when you were a child, or even as a grown child now, what was your favorite Halloween costume and why? What was your favorite Halloween costume and why? So discuss among yourselves or find something else enjoyable for your table to talk about the next 5 minutes. Good afternoon, Rotarians and guests. I am Wade Culp. I'm the president of the Rotary Club of Greenville this year. It's great to see such a good crowd here today, and I hope our icebreaker got you in the Rotary spirit and Halloween spirit. We're going to go ahead and move right into our agenda today because we do have a number of things on it, and I believe Elizabeth is going to give our, I was wondering what, okay, there she is for our invocation pledge.
Thank you. Welcome, everybody. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for today. Thank you for our friends and our family. Thank you for our Rotary Club. We thank you for your many, many blessings, and we ask for your guidance. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance. Or stand up, please. I'm not standing. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Guests, thank you for being here. We love to see you. Thank you for enjoying this lunch with us today. Make sure that you have an opportunity to talk to some of the Rotarians about all the things that we're doing. And if you haven't attended Discover Rotary, please take the time to do that. It's so much fun to learn about our past and hear about the great things we're doing going forward. So today we have guest Lauren Jackson, who is a guest of the club. We have Nathan Hughes, who is a guest of Lisa Minnick. Regina Gentry, guest of Malia Jefferson, who's a guest of Wade. Lauren Jackson, guest of Pam Weaver. Alexis Butler, who's a guest of Luke Rhodes. And we also have Gia Atwood, a guest of Pam Weaver. Sarah Wright, also with Pam Weaver. Chad Grover with Scott Stevens. Thank you, guests. Anderson Club, hold on. We have Hugh and Rita Burgess. Thank you.
We have 4 new members to induct today. And if Pam Eaton and Shannon Sports and Sandra Nyblom and Joel Jones would all come up and join me here, I would appreciate it. We have 4 of them today, but I'm just going to introduce these 2, and we will wait until it's a good time to let the other ones let you see their faces. So, Sandra Nyblom, and Sandra is a wine advisor for Montesquieu Wines and a designer for Rosewood Communities. Her husband is a builder, and that's part of what he does. And when we asked them some questions, Jenny makes sure that they answer some questions. And we asked them, so why Rotary? And she obviously has a lot of interest. Where do I begin? And wine was obviously one of them. Wine advisor. In her title, just in case anybody's interested. And travel and arts and fitness are what she is. When asked about why Rotary, she said to give back to the community and share her passions with other like-minded individuals. She, sometime you gotta ask her about the story of how she sort of accidentally met her husband and how she got from Manhattan to Greenville. It's a great story. And her husband, and with her, when she married her husband, she also inherited 4 children who at that time were ages from the twins from 8 or 9 up until some who have now graduated from college and are going on. So she's got a big family. And we thank very much her sponsors, who are Penny Robbins and Ryan Thackeray, for introducing us to Sandra Nyblom. We're glad to have her here. This minute. And we have Joel Jones, who is right down here. Joel is the CEO of Renewable Water Resources. If you don't know what REWA does, you must go ahead and look them up. They are an extraordinary organization and business here in the upstate, and they do a lot to make this a better place to live. Now, I wasn't able to meet Joel before this meeting, so I have no idea what he wants, what he means by his passion, which is low risk adventure. So a lot of things went through my mind. You know, like, is it like doing push-ups on a chair, or is it jumping out of an airplane from a really low? Oh, riding an old man's bicycle. I like that concept. Okay, so ask Joel more about that, and you may find that Rotary is sort of a low risk but high reward adventure, is what we're hoping. So his answer to the question of why Rotary really struck me with a phrase that I think we all ought to be using. He said, serve others, comma, serve with others. And that, I've just not heard that kind of an expression. And I think that says beautifully what it is that attracts so many about Rotary. So thank you for bringing some new statements in here, Joel. His wife, Amanda, and 3 children. And he was sponsored by George Fletcher. So George brings in all sorts of people here. So we appreciate that. So these are 2 members, and I'd love you to ask them also why they joined Rotary, but what do we say as current members to the question of why Rotary? Do we recognize when we have an opportunity to bring it up with someone who is not a Rotarian? Guess we're going to practice on you, just not the Anderson people, but the rest of the people, we're going to practice on you. Do we keep our explanation of Rotary real and share our stories or other people's stories? And do we follow up? And so these 4 new members today are here because their sponsors and some other people answered that question of what's Rotary and invited them to something. You can invite them to a meeting, certainly a special event, a social. And the great thing is that now that we have this fantastic Discover Rotary on the 4th Tuesday of every month, it's in person, and the 3rd Tuesday, Terry, right? It's virtual. Yes, it's virtual. We don't have to tell them everything about Rotary. We don't have to pretend that we know everything, because we don't always. We just let Discover Rotary handle all that, and they do that for us. So we just have to recognize an opportunity to tell somebody about Rotary and share a story or 2. Sandra already shared some stories of what she's doing at Alexander Elementary. So that's only the kind of thing, that's the only kind of thing that we really need to do. So thanks to current members, Wade and Catherine Pelicano, and Penny Robbins and Ryan and George for doing all that as sponsors. And please welcome these brand new Rotarians.
Well, I have the pleasure of giving everybody an update for the upcoming Greenville Holiday Village. And I had to bring notes. I was going to say a few things. Of course, Jane made sure I had everything written down. So she made sure I had these. You know, this is a new holiday tradition here in Greenville. And the Rotary Club of Greenville has been known for that. Way back before my time, we had the singing Christmas tree, and that went on for years. And then for 20 some odd years, we had holiday lights out at Roper Mountain. And that was definitely a holiday tradition. And now we've got a brand new holiday tradition, and it's Greenville Holiday Village. And if you go to our website, and I'm gonna read it because it says it a lot better than I can. It says, Floor Field transforms into a European holiday market filled with local artisans offering unique handcrafted gifts. Savor the season with a warm mug of Glühwein. Now, I'm going to break there for a minute because I'm involved with Glühwein this year, and this is the most fun. And everybody that knows me knows that I'm a stickler for quality control. So I will be sampling often during the whole thing. It may entail an Uber getting home, but I'm going to take one for the team. So I just want you to know it's going to be great. So please sample that. Also, a tasty beer from our beer garden, all while enjoying the live holiday music from upstate musicians. Kids can explore the magic of Kringle with our fun inflatables, Kinder Lane Express train ride along the Floor Field, and of course, Santa's going to be there. And so this starts on December 9th, which is Friday. It's got Mingle with Kringle. It's going to be from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. that Friday night. And some additions this year. You may know by now that Floor Field has added a new venue right beside the stadium. It's District 3-5. We're going to be there also. We're going to be up on the concourses on the field by the Steel-Toed Stilettos. There's going to be beer, wine, and blue vine. Food by the trap door, and there's going to be others. There's going to be a Stein holding contest, which I'm not sure I understand. And there's also going to be Lederhosen and dirndl contest going on. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So invite your friends, invite your neighbors, get them out there. And then, of course, the next 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, doors are going to open at 11 a.m. and they're going to be all-day events. So now I'm going to ask, okay, here's some things that we can all do. And I'm going to encourage everybody. Mike, your voice has changed. Anyway, if your company wants to become a sponsor, see Mark Sarvis. He'll be glad to work with you on that. Also, tell your company about sales group opportunities. Laura McCullough, is Laura here today? Well, Laura's not here either, but okay. But again, those opportunities are available. Donate an item to the silent auction and see Jeremy Hart. Is Jeremy here today? There you go, Jeremy. Yeah, thank you. Well, there's Jeremy. Buy a VIP ticket. See Rusty Enfinger. Rusty, where are you? There's Rusty. So you can see him after the. Also, buy Kringle Cash. It's a 50-50 raffle. George Fletcher. George, where are you? I saw you somewhere. There's George back there. So see George. That was a really fun part of last year. Suggest a school community entertainment group. See Elizabeth Razor. There she is over there. And so if you haven't already, go to our website. It's kringleholidayvillage.com. And again, if you haven't already, put it on your calendar, please. This is December 9th through 11th. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Friday is going to be an evening from 5 to 9 p.m. And it's going to be a great weekend. We're going to have no rain this year. I've been assured of that. It's going to be nice and cool and crisp and clear. And it's going to be an event that nobody is going to miss. So thank you.
Thank you, Ron. And now for something completely different. This is one of the favorite things that I think we do every year. And speaking of new traditions, we have this program twice a year, once in the fall, once in the spring, in which we honor our latest pledge class coming in that have made the extra commitment beyond going to discover Rotary and beyond getting that red badge. They go through these tasks and various adventures to get up to the blue badge status. And I would have to say this year particularly, we have a banner crop of folks coming up, 4 of them, Fab 4, if you like. This is so low in number, but very, very high in quality. And it's my honor and privilege to be able to bring them up today. Now, we only have 2 of them today that are here, and I'm just going to call them up. And Amy Hart is the first one. I'm sorry, I was thinking about Jeremy. Amy Wood. See, you guys make me so nervous up here. I can't hardly speak. Amy joined us in June and has rocketed up to the blue badge status already. Her sponsor is Pam Weaver, and Amy is mega active on the Kringle campaign, and she is in charge of PR already. Just after a few months of not even probably knowing what the Rotary Club was, here she is running, or certainly what Kringle was. And secondly, we have Jeremy Hart, and he's over there. Jeremy Woods. Jeremy, see, I'm sorry, guys. This whole thing got torpedoed. Jeremy joined us in May and has likewise rocketed up to the blue badge status. And he's a civil engineer over at EMC Engineering, which is right here downtown. Beth Pageant is his sponsor. And you are very active on Kringle Village as well. Yes. So now Jeremy already had 2 years at Statesboro, Georgia club, and then you transferred over here, right? Yep. So some of the things that Amy and Jeremy had to do here to get the blue badge was, and here just a few bullet points. They had to either join a committee, which they've both done, or be in a service project, be a greeter at a meeting, have coffee or breakfast or lunch or dinner or any of that, all of that with a current member of the club. Attend another Rotary Club meeting within the area. Did you guys ever do that? That was fun. I did it. Yeah. Okay. Just put DAC-DB on your phone, volunteer for a club fundraiser, and bring a new member to a meeting. So with that, I would like to present Amy Wood. Oh, I should have. And Jeremy, I would like to bequeath you with the blue badge. Yeah. Okay, and again, just a warm welcome to Amy and Jeremy. Jenny asked me to say 2 words, and this is not in the program, and I almost forgot. Those 2 words are Mike Snively.
Thank you, Ryan. You want your paper back, Ryan? Okay, all right. I have the privilege of bringing forward the Alexander Staff and Teacher of the Month that have been nominated and approved by Alexander Elementary. You all know they're our target group that we support so actively here in the Rotary. And I got to tell you, reading, whoa, sorry about that. These 2 individuals, when I read the email, it was consistent across the board for both of them. Kayla, who calls me Mr. Mike, I don't have to go through the body cavity search or I don't have to show her my ID or anything. I'm over there so much. The smile that she exudes every time I come in. The kids love her. It was consistent across the board. The same thing for Coach Cannon, who's the PE teacher. He gets outside of the PE classroom. He shows up early. He helps the safety patrol. And all the comments that were written in this almost Magna Carta length email of all the people that nominated both of these fine folks, it's consistent across the board that they get out of their small little area and help across the school. And it's no wonder that they're sitting in front of us today. So I'm going to ask both Kayla and Coach Cannon to come up, if you would, please. Kayla Castillo is, you can see the smile, isn't it infectious? And so is Coach Cannon's. Everybody that comes in contact with both of them, they love these people at Alexander, and that's why we brought them here and why they were nominated. I want to say thank you very much. It's wonderful having you folks at Alexander. I love coming over there. It's why we love helping and doing the things that we do there. And we want to say congratulations very much. So thank you. Yes.
I am pleased to introduce our speaker, Dr. William McCoy. He's the director of the Rutland Institute for Ethics at Clemson. He joined the Clemson family in 2018 after serving as a director of ethics education and diversity initiatives for the College of Business at Northern Illinois University. Dr. McCoy has a bachelor's degree in English from Northern Illinois, a master's degree in continuing and vocational education from the University of Wisconsin, and a doctoral degree in educational administration from Edgewood College. He has a long history of serving in roles designed to help others, including work with the hearing and or vision impaired individuals and training minority talent for corporate and community leadership. Please welcome Dr. McCoy.
Thank you so much for allowing me to be here on today. This is a wonderful opportunity. Before I really get going, I want to make sure that everyone has a copy of our brochure and a copy of our decision-making card. If you do not, please raise your hand and one will be given to you, because we brought enough. It was just, we didn't know how many people were coming. So this is somewhat difficult for me because I do not typically stay behind the podium, which is interesting because I am a minister and I still believe in walking around, even when I preach. But let me, our time, I want to be very cognizant of time and be on time, which I know a lot of preachers don't believe in being, but I do. So in the next 15 minutes, let me share a very common story that my elementary school teachers will very much like. There is an author by the name of Shel Silverstein who wrote many things. He's no longer living, but one of the books that he wrote that is very popular among children is Where the Sidewalk Ends. How many of you heard of this? Okay. Somewhere around page 69 or 70, there is a poem entitled Sarah Cynthia Sylvia Stout Would Not Take the Garbage Out. And the poem goes something like this. Sarah Cynthia Sylvia Stout would not take the garbage out. She'd scour the pots and scrape the pans, candy the yams and spice the hams. And though her daddy would scream and shout, she simply would not take the garbage out. And so it piled up to the ceiling. Coffee grounds, potato peelings, brown bananas, rotten peas, chunks of sour cottage cheese. It filled the can, it covered the floor, it cracked the window and blocked the door. With bacon rinds and chicken bones, drippy ends of ice cream cones, prune pits, peach pits, and orange peels, gloppy glumps of cold oatmeal, pizza crusts and withered greens, soggy beans and tangerines, crusts of black burnt buttered toast, grisly bits of beefy roast. The garbage rolled on down the hall. It raised the roof. It broke the wall with greasy napkins and cookie crumbs, globs of gooey bubble gum, cellophane from green bologna, rubbery, blubbery macaroni, peanut butter caked and dried, curdled milk and crusts of pie, moldy melons, dried up mustard, eggshells mixed with lemon custard, cold French fries and rancid meat, yellow lumps of cream of wheat. At last, the garbage reached so high that finally it touched the sky. And all of her neighbors moved away. And none of her friends would come to play. And finally, Sarah Cynthia Sylvia Stout said, all right, get off my back already. I'll take the garbage out. But then, of course, it was too late because the garbage reached across the state from New York to the Golden Gate. And there in the garbage, she did hate. Poor Sarah met an awful fate that I cannot right now relate because the hour is much too late. He always remember Sarah Stout and always give yourself a hand. So my name, again, is William McCoy, Dr. William McCoy, and I am so happy to be. I am a Northerner, I'm a Yankee, and I'm proud, but I'm happy to be here. My motto was, if I can spend 50 years up north, then I need to go 50 years down south. And so I'm very happy to be here. I work for Clemson, live in Liberty, built a home there, so I have no intention of leaving anytime soon. On today, in our very limited time, because I do want to stay right on time, this is called a street called ethics and a road called civility. Now, to keep on time, I'm only going to touch the very beginning part of this, which will introduce you to what it is we actually do. This is a presentation that I actually did for the municipal court, the municipal employees last week. And I thought it would fit here, but it really takes a little more time than 15 minutes to do. So let me just introduce to you what it is that I do. So one of the reasons that I wanted to make sure that you had a copy of this is because this will give you the basics of what it is we do. Now let me just start by telling you, when I started at Clemson in 2018, March 2018, I was told that it was one of the most opportune times to come in our history. And I asked why. And the response that was given to me was, because the faculty have identified ethics education as one of the cornerstones that we need to build within our curriculum. It is already in our mission statement, so we need to make it active. And as soon as the faculty identify that, then it's much easier to put it into the curriculum. So Bill, this is the best time in the world for you to come because they've already said we need more of it. So I said, okay, here's what I'm going to do. And there are several things that I have taken off doing, and I must tell you that I can't do anything without my staff. But let me just, as you see the chair up here, if you will look at the back of the chair and the seat of the chair as the Rutland Institute for Ethics, you will see that the chair is supported by 4 legs. And each of those legs represents some faction of what we do. We have an advisory board. We have a faculty advocating for commitment to ethics, the FACE committee. We have the change student group, and then we have our staff. And in the remaining part of my time, let me just tell you what it is, how each of those affects us. For the advisory board, Caroline Stewart was supposed to be here today, but she wasn't able to make it. She's the one who invited me over a year ago to do this address. She just recently served as the chair of our advisory board. Wonderful leadership that she provided. And our board is responsible for giving of the 3 T's, the time, talent, and treasure. Now let me get over the hardest one first, which is not that difficult. We do assess each of our board members a minimum of $1,000 a year. But none of that money actually goes to us in terms of salaries or anything like that. It actually goes to programming. And I make sure that the monies that are given by our board members go straight to programming. So we're not dependent on money that is given to us, because the provost has understood that we are firmly embedded in what Clemson is doing. So I actually report to the provost, not within a college. So Caroline helped the board to understand the need to also give time and talent. How do we give time and talent? Well, there are a couple of activities that we do. Not only do they come to board meetings, but they will also engage themselves in some activities that we have. Sometimes we ask them to come and be speakers for us, for our students. Sometimes we ask them to be a judge or serve on a panel. So those are the ways that they give of their time and talent. And they're also there to kind of give us advice from the business perspective and from the professional perspective of how can we make our students better graduates, okay? Then you'll look at the FACE committee. One of the things that I am the most happy about is that the faculty committee is represented by all 7 academic colleges on our campus. So every single college is represented on this committee, and they all have say-so and buy-in as to why, or how rather, we integrate ethics education throughout the entire university. They are the ones that devise the Distinguished Ethics Scholars Program, which means that students who engage in extracurricular, co-curricular activities that deal with ethics, ethical leadership, and ethical decision-making, upon graduation, they can either graduate with a cord, or if they go an even higher level and involve themselves at a higher level, they may even be able to earn a medallion. That is a program that was devised by the FACE committee. If you will look at this card, the STAR decision-making model. This is the approved decision-making model, ethical decision-making model that the faculty actually pulled together. Now, I'm not crazy. I know that the words on the back of this card are hard to read. You'll find the exact same information in the middle of this pamphlet. Same information on the little itty bitty print on that card, okay? So the faculty are very instrumental in helping us to integrate ethics throughout everything we do. One other thing that we came up with, and I was sharing this with the executive director at the table, and this is kind of a combination of the advisory board. I don't know if anyone here knows Kelly Durham. Oh yes, so Kelly Durham was chair of the board when I first got to Clemson. And long story short, I'm going to be transparent. Now, I hope I don't lose some of you when I say this. During the unrest of 2020, when we were engaged in social unrest that dealt a lot with race, I knew that I needed to put something on our website to talk a little bit about our perspective of what was going on. But to be quite frank with you, I was torn. There was a personal conflict that I was dealing with. And so I went over to Kelly Durham's house, and we sat in his backyard. He has a beautiful home. And we sat in his backyard, and I just sat down and said, Kelly, I'm struggling. I need to know how to address this in a very balanced and fair way. And through that conversation is actually how, if you look in the front part of the page, you'll see the second program down says TIDE Conference, which is our opportunity. TIDE stands for Tigers for Inclusion, Diversity, and Ethics, which is our opportunity to bring speakers on campus that will address the intersection of diversity as it pertains to ethics for the particular discipline that you're studying in. So the College of Education brings in their speaker. The College of Engineering brings in their speaker. Business brings in their speaker. We do this for all 7 colleges. We're at a point where we can give them $1,000 toward that speaker, to have that speaker come in either in person or virtually to talk about the intersection or the intersectionality of their discipline as it pertains to diversity and ethics. And that's something we can do every single year. As a matter of fact, we just completed our 20th year anniversary, and we had a $100,000 goal to reach. The $100,000 was earmarked to be pushed into an account so that the Tide Conference could exist into perpetuity. And I'm happy to say that we were able to raise $125,000 for that Tide Conference. Yeah, I think that deserves that. The last thing I will say is concerning our student group, and then I'll entertain very quick questions. Our student group, in my opinion, is one of the most powerful groups that I have. They do student-to-student programming. So I give them money out of my budget to tell them, go forth in your college, and I want you to talk to students about ethics from your perspective. Sometimes they bring in speakers, sometimes they host panels, and then sometimes they just get real creative and do what some of us might think are nonsensical, but they actually are very effective. Last year, for the first time, one of our students hosted a bouncy house. And the way you got in the bouncy house was by writing on a big board, what did ethics mean? What does ethics mean to you? And once you put that on there, that was your ticket to go and play in the bouncy house. And we took pictures of that and we shared that with the campus. My student group, Change, is also responsible for pulling together a high school ethics case competition. I know that the pandemic had a lot of negative effects, but one of the positive effects that it had for us was that it forced us to go virtual, which meant that instead of concentrating getting high schools from just the 3-county radius around Clemson, all of a sudden, we began to get inquiries about participating from schools in Indiana, Arizona, Florida, and Pennsylvania. So last year, we actually had schools from all of those states, in addition to the schools in the Greenville, Spartanburg, and the 3-county radius around Clemson. That is affecting change. So that's what our students do. And they also are responsible for pulling together a biannual newsletter. The very last thing I will say, since I am a little bit over my time, is I am more than proud that right now, where are you at, Dave? I am so proud of the fact that we have a Rotarian, a particular Rotarian, who is over the RILA for his area, Rotary Youth Leadership Academy. And we are now developing I hate to say it this way because we haven't really figured out the terms, but we're pulling together a camp, a summer camp that will be week-long in nature, that will focus on the elite students of Rotarian, Rotary Youth Leadership Academy students. We're starting in this region and the Midwest region with the intent of going across the nation to have a camp that deals specifically with leadership and ethics for Rotary Youth Leadership Academy participants. Now, if that doesn't deserve a hand, I don't know what does. With that, I am done. That's about all I have time for. Do I have any quick questions that anyone would like to ask? Yes, sir. Who Rutland is? Yes, Bob Rutland, who is alive. Bob Rutland was he was in the trucking industry, and he had his own trucking industry down in Georgia. And he was heavy into chaplaincy through the trucking industry. And that was his thing. And so he also is an alum of Clemson. So he approached Clemson and asked, we didn't have anything about ethics back then, and asked, could we formulate an ethics institute? I'm happy to say that Bob is in his mid-80s, and we had our board meeting last week, and he was there. He was there, and he's doing quite well. Yes, ma'am. Yes. What, if I understood your question, many young people are driving change, and many of those changes that they want are incongruent with the changes of an older generation. How do we deal with that, basically? Well, you know what? I'm going to answer it in a roundabout way. So let me just say it this way. One of the things that I do when I go in the classroom, because I do actively speak in the classroom when I'm asked to, is to help students understand that a right and a wrong does exist, because some of them don't believe that. So the example that I give is, you go to Walmart, you do a couple weeks worth of shopping, you get a case of water, but there's no room in the basket. You put it under the basket, you get to the checkout counter, you pay for everything, but you honestly forget that water is under there. You somehow get out to the car without the things beeping at you, and you unload your groceries, and you look down, and there's the water. And I tell the students, there is no ethical dilemma in here. Hello, somebody. There is no ethical dilemma. The right thing to do is to take the water back in and pay for it. Now, I don't care if you don't feel like doing it, but that's the right thing to do. So helping them to understand the difference between a choice and an ethical decision, or an ethical choice, is what I really find myself doing in the classroom. Now, you're right that they sometimes will push some agenda items, but to be frank with you, a lot of the agenda items that they push, they got it from home. So you're fighting some things that is embedded in them because of what they keep hearing at home. Yes, sir. Well, I can tell you this, just from my institute perspective, we had existed for 15 years, and very few people knew that we were even on campus in 15 years. Now, when I got hired, my boss at that time was the assistant or associate provost. And he said, Bill, if you walk out here and you just randomly stop 3 people, and no, 10 people, he said, if you randomly ask 10 people, what is the Rutland Institute for Ethics, 9 of them will have never heard of you. And the one who had heard of you might be able to have accurate information, maybe. He's looked at me and pointed at me and said, I need you to change that. I said, yes, sir. And so what I've been doing is building our programs. And it's interesting we're talking about this, that when I built a model, a concentric model, and I said in the first year or two, I want to I can't go out and sell what we're doing if our own university doesn't know we exist. So I went to Bob and I said, Bob, I gotta grow, and he agreed. And so I've been building an outward model so that we're trying to affect change from within Clemson and then push it outward. And the reason that I know, now you got me excited. The reason that I know this is working is because we just had a non-traditional student who was in his 70s who graduated just last semester in May. And he approached us about giving to the organization because he heard about what we do and how we do it. So what I'm trying to do is move us out. And I believe we're getting there. We're not perfect, but we're getting there. Okay, so this will be the last question, right? I don't believe in lying, and I believe in being as transparent as humanly possible. So I will tell you that we do not have the breadth or length of relationship that I would like to see us have with athletics. I will say that it's not that we haven't offered. I'll leave it there. It is something that we do work on. I'm not going to tell you I have a good relationship, but we are not engaged with them to the degree that I would like us to be. We used to have a program where we gave, I'm going to my seat. We used to have a program where we had we honor a person for his or her ethics and be one person. And they had this program right before I came, and I said, I have a problem with this because we have a bunch of people, a bunch of money coming in, but I see no students in the mix. I see a bunch of people paying $200 for a ticket to drink, but I don't see any students. So I said, let's change this. And the very last award we gave was to Dabo Sweeney. And after we gave that award, I sunset that. And you know what program came in its place? The Tide Conference. Thank you.
Marty Reiswig is a husband, a father of two, and a realtor. He believes in making the very best of every day, for good reason.
At 38, I know I may only have another 12 years of good mental capacity.
Marty came face to face with his family's genetic fate more than a decade ago. At one reunion, there were very few relatives over the age of 60. He and Jacqueline had just started dating.
He saw, an uncle who was clearly having problems, and I think that's when it kind of became clear to him, and he took me for a walk and said, if you want out now, I understand.
Without skipping a beat, she said, I'd rather have 30 good years with you than a lifetime with anybody else.
Eric McDade is a neurologist at Washington University in St. Louis, studying the familial early onset of Alzheimer's. It is known as the Dominantly Inherited Alzheimer Network Trials Unit, or DIAN-2. Researchers are focused on defects in 3 genes.
These genetic changes are actually passed in a way that each generation from somebody who has the gene has a 50-50 chance of getting the gene defect.
People who inherit the defective gene almost always develop Alzheimer's at a young age. Marty's father developed symptoms at age 52. As part of the study, Marty had genetic testing. For now, he and Jacqueline have opted not to know the results.
The burden of finding out that I do have the gene would be far worse and heavy and difficult than not knowing.
The current trials are using drugs that attack different forms of the amyloid protein associated with Alzheimer's.
My hope for this study is that it gives us an opportunity to live and enjoy life just 5 or 10 more years.
I'm Marty Salt reporting.